Om Shri Guru Namaha Hari Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Shankaram Lokashankaram. Dear friends, I'm very happy to be in your midst this evening, and we will discuss a few things together about some of the important aspects of life. You see, you have to understand that in Satsang, we examine together. Don't wait to be told to. Let us examine together. Of course, the speaker will lead the examination or inquiry, but otherwise we examine together the issues of life. That is what it is. Satsanga is examining the issues of life, not discussing a book. Generally, people discuss books. They study a book and discuss the book, and they call it Satsanga. Book can be there, should be there. I am not against the book, but then the book must translate into life. We should study the book of life. The topic for today, initially we have a topic for some time, and then we go to questions and answers. The topic for today is given as the 6th chapter of Gita. Now, the entire chapter cannot be covered in half an hour or 30 minutes. And so I picked up one verse from the 6th chapter. The name of the chapter is very significant. Some books call it Dhyana Yoga, which is a very nice name. Quite a few books call it Atma Sanyama Yoga. Their Atma is the mind, not Satchidananda Atma. Mind and then body, body-mind. So, Sanyama is a command. That is the 6th chapter. The yoga you can say a pursuit in life or a way of living the life, that is called yoga. And in that way of living the life, there is a command over the body-mind. That is the chapter, Atma Sanyama Yoga. Generally, when we look at ourselves, the title of the chapter becomes very significant as we look at our life. Everybody should ask this question. Am I a slave to the body or am I in command of the body? That question should be asked. It is not about sannyasis or grahasthas. It is not about gurus or sishyas. It is about human existence. The other factors are extraneous, they are not important. The important thing is our life, which is the existence as a human being, in which we live a life as slaves to the body, means the comforts of the body become the most important things. So in a way, I tell you, the way people live can be described as, maybe it's an extreme description, but still, the way people live can be described as, body is the God and serving the needs of the body is the religion. That is how they live. So, therefore, body commands our life. Is that how we are living? Because that is the formula for disaster. The reverse, you reverse the situation. Now you command the body. Body doesn't command you. You command the body. That is Atma Sanyama Yoga. Then apply the same thing to the mind. Whether you are in the grip of the mind, people are they are very enthusiastic to find out who is superior, Shankara or Ramanuja or Madhvacharya, that kind of, or which Swami is superior, this is Swami or that Swami. What will you do with all that? That is not the point, you know. The point is, in your life, where do you stand? We say the body mind. So Atma Sanyama Yoga, that is the topic of that chapter. That is the topic in that chapter. So that is one thing you have to understand. Then the verse I have picked up is a very simple verse. Shanai Shanai Rupa Ramet Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya Atma Samstham Manah Kratva Na Kinchidapi Chantayet. That is the verse. Now, this is the basis for meditation. That verse is the meditation verse. You see, generally, the way we live in the worldly life, so the body-mind dictate our lives. In that situation, so we bring in some Vedanta into life, which is a good thing, very wonderful thing, very laudable effort. But then we limit the Vedanta to Shravanam. And so we don't take the next step. We stop at the Shravanam. You have to take the next step. You cannot stop at the Shravanam. So gradually a kind of professionalism takes over. And so the gurus are professional gurus and the sishyas are professional sishyas. Like that it becomes. And so I have seen the students vying with each other. How many hours you do Shravanam? 2 hours. I do 3 hours. Somebody else will do 4 hours. So that is how they become professional in Shravanam. You have to understand, if you study the Bhashyas, Shankara Bhashya, where this issue of Shravanam is discussed, it is clearly said that Shravanam alone is not enough. There are 2 other disciplines. You have to follow up the Shravanam with Mananam. So you have to understand what is Mananam and then practice it daily. 1 hour Shravanam is optimum. You have to follow it up with at least 45 minutes Mananam, in which you pick up the right book and read it yourself. So that is the Mananam. Then the Nididhyasanam, the meditation. That is the culmination. And without meditation, there cannot be any Vedanta. Meditation is the most important thing. You look at the Vakya, Shrotavyo, Mantavyo, Nididhyasitavyaha. Don't you see the sequence? It is like you have to go to the doctor, get the prescription and take the medicine. If you stop at the first step, that has no value. That doesn't solve the problem of the illness. So you have to follow it up. Having gone to the doctor, get the prescription and get the drug, and then take it and follow the regimen properly. Then only the problem of illness will be resolved. Same thing applies to Vedanta also. You have to take the study of Vedanta into meditation. Because in meditation, you move away from the worldly life to a higher dimension of the true self. Therefore, this shift from the worldliness to spirituality is accomplished in meditation. Its importance is understood in Shravanam and Manana, but actual shift happens in meditation. And as you understand, practice and get experience in meditation more and more, then the meditation will start influencing your Shravanam also. The Shravanam can become meditation in itself. Therefore, meditation, the Nididhyasanam, is very important. When I say meditation, it is Vedantic meditation that I am talking about, not other kinds of meditation. Mantra dhyana, mantra japa, that is also counted as meditation, but I am not talking of that. That meditation you do, but this is the meditation where you look at yourself and you conduct an inquiry of the self. That is the meditation, that is Satsang. Self-inquiry, that is the meditation. So this shift from the worldliness into spirituality, that is the shift. This shift happens with meditation, in meditation. The shift happens. And the shift you have to do it smoothly. You cannot force it. You cannot push it. You have to do it smoothly. Shanai Shanai Uparamayat. People, they know the word Shani. In fact, good that you know the word Shani. You have to understand the glory of Shani. Among all the planets, what is the glory of the Shani? He moves slow and steady around the sun. That is the glory of the Shani. You see, Shani is a short form. The actual name of the planet is Shanaischaraha. Shanaihi Charati. It is Shanaischaraha. Its short form is Shani. Therefore, the planet which goes so slowly, the word which describes the planet Shani is used to describe this shift from the worldliness to meditation, to spirituality. So, Uparamet, you have to withdraw from the worldliness slowly and steadily. Don't do it in a harsh way. Like you fight with the spouse and suddenly decide to go to Hrishikesh and do meditation there. Or, so I gave an extreme example. It is not something like that. Or something happened in the family life. Something happened and therefore you are at once disenchanted with the whole blessed thing. And so you cut off all bonds and go into Vedanta. It is not like that. That kind of approach has problems. Many people do that. Good that they come to Vedanta, that part of it is good, but you have to do the shift in a very slow and steady fashion. It is like losing the weight. Suppose you lose weight, 10 pounds you lose in 1 week. Is it good or bad? It is bad. Losing weight is good, but losing 10 pounds in a week is bad. You have to lose 2 pounds in a month. That is the rate at which you have to lose. So that what you lose will not come back. If you lose in a hurry, you will get back all the weight that you have lost. Same thing applies to this shift from the worldliness, means the life in which the worldliness dominates, from that life into the spiritual life. Means your thought, speech and actions are now influenced by the vision of the truth, the vision of the Atma. That is the spiritual life. So the shift has to happen not forcibly, not with some grim determination. It should happen slowly and steadily. Means it is not about the time element. You have to reflect upon it and you have to think about it and you have to make it a very conscious shift in your life. That is the meaning of Shanai Shanai and Uparamet. You see, if you don't mind my saying that, people listen to a lot of Vedanta, but they don't practice Uparama. Uparama is another word for Uparati. That Uparama or Uparati, you have to practice it. What is the Uparama or Uparati? The life in which actions are dominant. From that you have to withdraw. That is the withdrawal. You see, look at our lives. We begin life with a lot of activity. Like children, very active. And a youth are very active. That is how we begin our life, where karma dominates. Everybody begins like that. But as we come to middle age, and then old age. That is the growth of the body. And then as that activity going to the college, university, all of that is behind us. Now the career, building a family, all this is also behind us. All it is still going on, which is all right. But then from karma, you move to jnana. That is the uparati. And then from the worldliness, you move to spirituality, another name for self-inquiry. That is the uparati. That withdrawal from the worldliness is the uparati. Generally, what people do, they come to study Vedanta, they study a lot also, but they don't do this uparati. Uparati they don't do. Uparama they don't do. They keep their worldly roots and worldly interactions in full swing. They allow the worldliness to continue in its full swing and occasionally study some Vedanta here and there. And so they continue like that. You cannot do like that. You have to gradually withdraw from the worldliness, not from the world, but from the worldliness. Means, example I am giving, suppose you are a member of one or two clubs, you will withdraw from all that. Suppose you are in touch with some politicians and you are busy in politics, you withdraw from all that. You are into a lot of stock market security, stock market game, you withdraw from all that. So that is how you shift the life from the worldliness to self-inquiry. That has to happen. Without doing that, just 1 hour in a week, Vedanta Shravanam, or 2 or 3 hours, and rest of the time we do whatever we like. It doesn't work like that. That is one thing. For this, you should have two things. One is understanding, buddhya, understanding. What is the understanding? The understanding is the worldly life is not going to help you ultimately, because the worldly life is unreal. The world itself is unreal. Whatever may be the accomplishment or achievement in the worldly context, whatever may be the achievement, that is great in its place. I am not denigrating the achievement in the worldly context, but we have to carefully understand that whatever be the achievement, it has two qualities in it. One, it is transient, means it will be there for a short time, and then it is superficial. Means it makes your mind excited for a while. It is superficial. It cannot touch the innermost self. That is the superficiality of that. And then it is transient. It will be there for a short while. It is like in a year, the tennis matches will be there, the Wimbledon champion. So 2017 Wimbledon champion, where is he today? He may not be around anymore. And even as he is winning, he knows that he will be replaced by another person soon. Therefore, the win, the glory associated with that victory is very short-lived. Everybody knows it. Therefore, this is how superficial and transient. These are the two characteristics of worldly achievements. You achieve whatever you have to achieve in the world, by all means, do that, but you have to know this. And therefore, the final achievement will be that you realize your true self. That is the final achievement. And so this understanding, that is the buddhi. And then finally, to make the shift from the worldliness to spirituality, you need courage. Dhriti grihitaya. You need courage. So, generally, to make any such a shift, you really need the courage. The courage that I am talking about is not the courage of fighting with the neighbor or fighting with the other person that you come across or being reckless in our interactions with others. I am not talking of that kind of courage. I am talking of the courage by which you are able to see the false as false, that kind of courage. So you need that courage. To be able to see the false as false, you need tremendous courage. The courage that comes from understanding. So that is the courage, dhriti. And also dhruti means the perseverance. You have to persevere. So these qualities you should cultivate. And then having done that, so how many things we talked about? So you should not you should not make it a very forceful. You should make it slow and steady. And then we talked of uparati. Then we talked of understanding, buddhi, and then perseverance. And that steadfastness, that is the dhriti. These four qualities you should have. They should be in place. And once they are in place, your nididhyasanam can go on now. The nididhyasana, the meditation, has two elements in it. One, to begin with, it's a discipline. You do it half an hour or 20 minutes, a session in the morning, a session in the evening, as a discipline. You do it, a limited session. That is how you begin. But eventually, the life becomes meditative. The mind loses its caprice. It loses its chanchalatvam, the caprice. It loses the greed, the jealousy, the malice. So these very poisonous content. The mind loses all of that. It becomes very pure. And as it becomes pure and more pure, it becomes more and more quiet, because they are interrelated. The purity of the mind is related to the quietude of the mind. The more the mind becomes more and more pure, it becomes more and more quiet. You should understand that. You see, without making the mind pure, you want to make it quiet. It won't work. But if you follow some hatha yoga methods, it may work for a short time. That you do some kumbhaka, whether your mind is pure or not, it will be stunned into silence. It may work like that, but that kind of working has no value. That will be misleading and unnecessary. Therefore, these two should go together. The mind must be pure and hence quiet. That is how you have to make it. So, Atma samstham manah kritva. Now the mind is not turned outward, it is turned inward. Atma is inward, the world is outward, mind is the bridge. And you identify with the mind, therefore you are on the bridge. Therefore, where is your focus? Standing on the bridge, where is your focus? Is it towards the world? Or is it towards the reality, which is your own innermost self? Where is the focus? The same thing can be asked in a slightly different language. Are you bahirmukha or are you antarmukha? That is important. It is not about grahastha or sannyasi. There are many grahasthas who are antarmukhas, and there are many sannyasis who are bahirmukhas. Therefore, it is not about the color of the robes or etc. Therefore, you are the person, the individual, or the sadhaka, the seeker, the striver, who is on the bridge, which is the mind. Mind is the bridge between matter and spirit. Mind is the meeting place of matter and spirit. So, is your focus is on the material things, that is the world, or is on the spirit, which is the Atma, which is the innermost reality, which is also the divinity. It is not different from God. Now you don't raise the question that the God discussion is not there, only Atma discussion is not there. Don't come into that kind of a question, because all the discussion about Atma is the same as the discussion about God, one and the same. Therefore, so while talking about Atma, I have included God in it. Atma samstham manah kritva. Therefore, the mind must be focused upon the inner reality, the Atma. That way you have to do. So how to do that? So nakinchidapi chintayet. The mind becomes very quiet. Here the point is, when the mind becomes quiet, it has two routes available to it. It goes into tamoguna and sleep, and that is how it becomes quiet, which has no value. You can sleep for some time, that is fine, but that is not the Atmanishtha. We are talking of Atmanishtha here, Atma Samstha. So the second route is mind resolves in Sattva Guna and hence merges in the innermost self. That is the meditation. Therefore, mind resolves. So meditation, this is how in meditation, you begin with the mind, you are one with the mind, and that is how you begin. And then as the mind becomes quiet, more and more quiet, you enter into an unknown reality, or let me say an unknown world of quietude and beauty. That is where you enter. It is the unknown world. The unknown and the unknowable. That is where you enter. Okay, are you following? So you enter into the unknown world of beauty and quietude. This world into which you enter as the mind becomes quiet, you enter into this world. You do not force the mind to become quiet. That is not what you do. When you force, it leads to struggle, and that is not helpful. So you don't force the mind to become quiet. You allow the mind to become quiet. And you created an ambience in which the mind becomes quiet. That is what I described in those 4 steps. The ambience is created, and now the mind becomes quiet naturally and spontaneously. It is not an induced quiet. It is a natural quiet. That is how the mind becomes quiet. And now you enter into the world of the unknown, unknowable. And what does it mean? It means it's a world without images. You enter into a world without images, without symbols, and without even words. And then you enter into a world without the waves of memory. You see why people suffer in life? Because of the waves of memory. The memory comes as waves and make people very unhappy. And so you enter into a world in which the waves of memory are not there. Of course, images and symbols and words are also not there. And then in that world, there is love. That is the world. You see, it's an interesting love or interesting world in which there is depth every minute. Depth to the memory, depth to the caprice of the mind, depth to the worldliness, all that is there. Why I brought the word depth? Because Atma Samstham, their samstha is depth. That's why I brought the word depth. And therefore, so every single time there is depth. There is the renewal of life, of love. As there is depth to the fickleness of the mind, that is the renewal of inner love, which is Atma. And this love, what I am talking about, is not attachment. You should not confuse it with attachment. So this love, which is the Atma, it flowers. As you meditate, it flowers without a cause. It is a flame that burns away all the borders. you now grow into a consciousness without borders. Because every time the mind projects a thought, along with the thought, a border is also projected. Thought is limited in its very nature. And as you move deeper, as you move into that unknown, the quietude of the mind, therefore, that awareness, it burns away all the borders. And also it burns away the fences that people create carefully. So in life, they build fences of caste, creed, race, religion, and gender, all kinds of fences they build. And the love that I am talking about, into which you enter when the mind becomes naturally quiet, that love, it burns away all these fences which are built by the human mind very carefully. Over years, these fences were built, and these fences were burnt away by that inner quiet, by that love which you discover in yourself. And in that unknown, you experience a beauty which is beyond thought and word. Thought has a conception of beauty, but that is not the beauty which we are talking about. So, it is a beauty which is not put on a canvas. That it is not that kind of a beauty. Or it is not the physical beauty that people talk about. Or it is not a beauty in a sculpture. A marble, in marble you put some beauty. It is not that kind of beauty. People are caught in all these kind of beauties. They are caught in the beauty of the physical thing. Though this item is beautiful, that is beautiful, like that. And then beauty on canvas, beauty in marble. So people are caught in all such beauty. That's why I'm bringing the topic of beauty. And so here is the beauty which is beyond thought. You see, they make a lawn because it is the beauty. And here we are talking of a beauty which is beyond such a thought-made beauty. What is the beauty of the lawn? It is created by the thought. What is the beauty of the wild meadow? That is the natural beauty. And so, if you allow the thought to define beauty, a lawn, well-mowed lawn is the beautiful. Like that the mind says. But if you go beyond the mind becomes quiet. And if you go into that inner love, which is the Atma, there the beauty is not defined by thought or emotions. So, and that is the meditation which you enter into. That is the meditation that I am talking about. So this meditation, it is a joy. And it is a benediction. It is a blessing. And in that meditation, the love flowers. It is the love like water. It is like when you say water quenches thirst. When you say that, the water is not contained in a particular jug. That is not the water. It is not the water which has to be partaken by a chosen person. It is not that kind of water. It is just water. It can be contained in any jug and it can be partaken by anybody. Even an animal can partake that water. The birds can partake that water. That is the water. And so the love of meditation, which I am talking about, is like that water. It is given to all. It is denied to none. It has no boundaries. It has no direction. That is the love. And you discover that love in meditation. And in that meditation, you become free from the known. What is the known? The known is the memory, the content of the mind, that is the known. And then what is it that binds us? It is the known which binds us. That's why in sleep we are free from the known and there is no bondage. But that is the tamo guna. But in meditation, it is sattva guna and then beyond the gunas. Through sattva guna, you go beyond the gunas. And so here, it is the pure love, which is freedom from the known, from the memory, from the waves of memory, from the passion, from the emotions, from the sentimentality, and from the fences that the mind has built over a long life. So it is freedom from all that. And so you abide in your pure innermost self. That is the meditation which is discussed very briefly. I can spend an entire class on it, but very briefly, that is the meditation which the 6th chapter talks about. Now I will recite the verse. You see whether you can connect with every word. So Shanai Shanai Ruparamet Buddhya Dhruti Grihitaya Atma Samstham Manah Kratva Nakinchidapi Chintayet. That is the meditation. So that is the 6th chapter, a brief account. Now, we will look at some of these questions. I got this question in email. I felt that, this question, it could be, this question concerns every one of us, including the speaker. Therefore, I have selected that question. The question is, if there is one thing that I should prioritize or hold steady in my heart to make life peaceful, what will that be? That is the question. Very interesting question. So, it is one thing that we should hold steady in the heart to make life peaceful. What is that one thing? That is the question. You see, the answer to this question is not meditation as a discipline. That is not the answer. You do meditation 30 minutes or 20 minutes in the morning or evening or both. That is not the answer. But the attitude of meditation, that is what I was describing. The meditation is of two kinds. One is discipline, and then you grow through discipline into a meditative lifestyle. So there is meditation with you without inviting, without planning, without seeking. It is already there with you. That kind of a growth into meditation, that you become meditative, that is the answer. So you have to become meditative. I will explain it to you how to become meditative in this particular context of making life peaceful. Making life peaceful. So what is that meditativeness which makes life peaceful? So what you have to do is you have to practice this self-inquiry. You can do it anywhere, at any time. While traveling in a bus, you can do. While not while driving a car, though. While you are commuting in a train, you can do this. Or you see, not while you are cooking, because the food that is being cooked will be affected. Not like that. Where you need to pay attention, and don't bring this. So, where you are not doing anything in particular, at that time you can practice this meditativeness, or even simply say meditation. That will grow upon you. Like while you are traveling in a flight, say 2-3 hours of flight, you can practice this meditation for a few minutes during this journey. Or somebody else is driving, you are in the car, you can practice it during the journey. Or when you are alone, when you are in solitude, you can practice it for a few minutes. What is that meditation? Means you have to make it really, you have to hold on to it really with a lot of enthusiasm and love. Not with the grimness, with enthusiasm and love. That is the Shraddha. That is called Shraddha. Sometimes people, they do things with a lot of grimness. They become very grim. Grit, true grit. Did you hear the word grit? This is not that kind of a thing. That's why that Shanai Kuparamed. It is not about grit or grimness. It is about a smooth adaptation. You have to smoothly adopt that meditation into your psyche, into your day-to-day life. And that is, of course, you may want to sit upright when, at least initially, so that it makes you more alert. You have to observe, even as you sit now and here, there is an aspect in your life which is very phenomenal. Everything is happening, like the family, the community, the society, the world. It is an ever-increasing circle. These are all the concentric circles in which we live. You are in the center. Then the one circle, family, community, society, the world. So much is happening. So many things are happening there. And then come closer to yourself, the body. So much is happening in the body also. The body is aging, and then it becomes occasionally sick. And then you take medicine, it becomes normal. Then body, it requires its comforts, it gets those comforts and becomes pleasurable. Sometimes it becomes painful. So much is happening in the body. And then the mind. The mind is constantly moving, and so much is happening in the mind. Emotions, sentimentality, thoughts, memory, waves of memory, the past, and then the concern about the future, the insecurity about the future, and then the jealousy, then envy, malice, spite, antagonism towards selected people. So much is happening in the mind. So much is happening. Where did I start? I started with world, and a layer after circle after circle, the concentric circles covered all of them. Then the body, and then the mind. So much is happening. Okay, that is the phenomenal that is in you. Now and here. It is always there. And you are aware of it very much. But then now in meditation, even as you are aware of the phenomenal, where so much is happening, there is in you a dimension in which none happens. And you have to get hold of that dimension in which none happens. And this is the meditation. If you practice this meditation, we will do it a small session of meditation. When you practice it and hold steady with that meditation, with that vision, the meditation becomes the vision. Gradually, the meditation itself becomes the vision. And so you hold steady in your heart with that vision. That will make your life very peaceful. Okay? I am answering the question exactly to the point. The question is, one thing that I should hold steady in my heart to make life peaceful. And that is what I am answering. So, in brief, I have described in some detail. In brief, there is so much phenomenal, means happening. Phenomenal means happening. That which is happening constantly in your life. Let it be. You need not do anything about it. Let it be. And then you are aware of it anyway. You are aware of it, all that phenomenon. Only now you have to bring into your awareness that in you, it is there. In you, it is ever there. You have to discover it. It is covered in a way, covered by the constant movement of the mind. Namely, we have come back to the meditation only. So, it is covered in a way, you have to discover it. Means take out that cover. And you have to discover the dimension in you in which nothing happens. So now you please hold on to these expressions. That phenomenal dimension in which everything is happening, let it happen. And you are aware of it. And then in you, there is a dimension in which nothing ever happens. In you, it is there. Now and here, it is there. This is not some theoretical proposition I am putting for Shravanam and all that. This is what you have to see first hand. Now and here, you have to see it yourself. You cannot see with the Guru's eyes. An external authority cannot make you see it. You have to see with your own eyes. Like you go to the optometrist, he will put some alphabets there and put a glass before the eyes, one particular glass he will put and ask you to read. So you see what is projected there. With your eyes you will see, or with the optometrist's eyes you will see. If you cannot ask him to read it. He will read it anyway. You have to read it. Means you have to see it. So same way, it is not, you cannot know with the Guru's knowledge. You cannot see with the Guru's eyes. You have to see with your own eyes. I am saying this because in the name of study, Shravana, etc., we seem to hand over the responsibility to know to the Guru. So that attitude develops like that. That Guru-centric attitude develops. And as long as you hold on to that Guru-centric attitude, in Vedanta it doesn't help. That's why I am telling, I am kind of a bit harshly I am telling, to take you out of that attitude and take it into your own hands. You have to discover it now and here. You cannot discover it in the future. You have to discover it now and here. That dimension in you in which nothing happens. You can do that. You have to believe in yourself and you can do that. Suppose you, even before you begin, you say, okay, after some more Shravanam we will do it. Or when the Guru's grace comes, we will do it. Or Ishvara's grace comes, we will do it. Then you have postponed the whole blessed thing into the future. Which means you are not ready to do it. That is the meaning. Not that it is going to happen in the future. There is nothing like future. So you have to do it. This is for you to do it. I think I cannot emphasize more than that. Therefore, this discovery you have to do in yourself. And you do that, and get hold of it, stay with it, hold steady in your heart with it, and that will make your life very peaceful. Okay? So let us sit. Just let us try. Sit upright, sit alert. You need not change the seat. Whatever seat you are sitting in whichever posture you are sitting, that is fine. Only you become integrated, you become collected, you collect yourself and sit upright, and then you look at yourself. So now I am looking at myself. Now, things happen in the family, in the community, society, the world, things happen, and I am aware of all of that. All of those happenings, they are constantly happen. They constantly happen, and I am aware of all of that. Then in the family also, nothing is static. Family is not static. It is very dynamic. Things happen in the family context also constantly. So things change, new things happen. Sometimes as per our expectation, but sometimes entirely opposite to our expectations also, things happen. In the family life, things happen. And I'm aware of that. Then the body also is constantly changing. It is very dynamic. And I'm aware of that also. Then the mind. So, just be aware of the mind. Don't have an agenda for the mind. Just be aware of the mind. The mind also is ever changeful. So, sometimes it is joyous. Sometimes it is very morose, namely very grim or grumpy, unhappy. Sometimes it comes out with some of these emotions also, like jealousy, it becomes jealous. These things constantly happen. They happen in the mind. They don't take my permission. They happen. And I'm aware of all this movement in the mind. Then the past comes as a wave, waves of memory, they come. That moment comes in the mind and makes makes myself sometimes happy, more often unhappy. This also happens. And then the projection of the future makes me insecure. I become insecure when I imagine the future or project the thoughts into the future. And a sense of insecurity and even fear could be there. This is all happening. This is the phenomenon. But then, in myself, there is something in which nothing happens. And that's why I'm able to know the happening. Only because there is something in myself in which nothing ever happens, that I am able to know all these things happening. So to be aware of the changeful, there must be the changeless background. Therefore, I am aware of all this phenomenal, all this changeful, beginning with the mind, body, family, society, etc. I am aware of all this changeful. At the same time, there is in me that awareness in which nothing ever happens. It is there. That's why I am aware of the changeful. If the changeless background is absent, then I will not be aware of all these changes happening. Therefore, the point is, I am aware of all this changeful. At the same time, I see a dimension in myself in which nothing ever happens. Now the crucial question I have to ask myself, and I have to investigate myself, and I have to find the answer myself. The question is, where am I? Am I in the constantly changeful, changing mind, body, family, etc.? Am I fixed in this constantly changing thing? Don't answer, just ask the question. For example, am I entirely identified with the mind in which things are constantly happening? Identified with the body in which things are constantly happening? With the family, which is ever dynamic and changeful? So where am I? Am I in the changeful? Or am I in the changeless, which is my own pure being, which never changes, in which there is no time? It is timeless being. Am I in the being? Am I abiding in the being? Don't answer, just keep the question going. Or am I in between? In between the changeful and the changeless, the bridge between the two. In between, the gap. Where am I? Again, am I in the ever changeful, where things are happening constantly? Some of the happenings are not favorable, some are favorable. Am I in that ever changeful? Or am I in the changeless, pure being? Or am I in between? Where am I? Oh. Slowly open the eyes. If you notice, I did not answer the question. Three questions. Three questions, but it is only one question. I did not answer it because we don't want to prejudge the situation. You find out for yourself. And as you examine this a few times in a week, where am I? Where am I located? I can give you a word, homestead. What is my home? Or what is my homestead? You can use the word bedstead also if you wish. So where am I fixing myself? In this constantly changeful, there something or the other is ever happening. I'm in that constant changeful locus or dimension. Or I am abiding in that changeless pure being, or somewhere in between I am. You explore it. Make this exploration a priority item. Even if you do it 3-4 times in a week, you hold on to this exploration, you hold steady with this exploration, hold steady this exploration. Make it a priority in your heart, and your life will become peaceful. The answer is, you see, we have to live with all the three. There is the phenomenal, you have to live with it. You have to be part of the phenomenon. You cannot dismiss it altogether. But this will help you to establish yourself in that pure being, and you also discover the bridge between the two. The being in which there is no known, it is the freedom from the known, and then the phenomenal which is full of the known, and there is the bridge between the two. So this you explore, and as you do that exploration, that meditation, you will discover peace in your life. Then a few questions. Two basic things which I wanted to do, I have done. That verse from the 6th chapter and the question related to that only. Now we will take up a few more questions. Here, an interesting question, quite often it comes. If a jiva's actions are bound by samskaras, how is he expected from tamoguna to rajoguna to sattva and higher? What is at his disposal to consciously initiate the change? The question is like this. There are vasanas or samskaras. They determine our life. So whether we are tamasic or rajasic or sattvic or even gunatita. So these vasanas or samskaras determine. So we don't seem to have a say in the matter. So how should we improve? How should we progress in this situation? That is the question. The answer is very simple. You don't create this kind of an impossible situation for yourself. Those samskaras are created by you only. You have created them. And you can undo them. Like some antagonism you have towards somebody, towards someone. That is a vasana, that is a samskara. Who created that vasana or that samskara, that antagonism? You created. You may argue, no, I did not create, the circumstances created it. No, circumstances did not create. You created. You allowed this, unless you allow, the circumstances cannot create antagonism in you. You allowed the antagonism to take roots in your heart. There are circumstances which are there, which are suitable for such an antagonism. That context is there. I am not denying that. There is a context, but in spite of the context, you can avoid antagonism. But you allow the antagonism to take root, take hold in your heart. That becomes a vasana, a samskara, and that will be coming up again and again. That will make you rajasic and tamasic. Antagonism, it makes you agitated, that is rajasic. It makes you angry, that is tamasic. So the vasana, which pushes you into rajoguna and tamoguna, it is there. As long as that vasana is there, you cannot avoid rajoguna and tamoguna. They will bother you. But you have to ask the question, who created this antagonism? You created. Nobody else created it. Don't say it is coming from the earlier life and all that. Assuming that it is coming from there, that is a kind of an escape. So you take it into earlier life or next life, then there can be no answer, no proper answer. Let us look at what we are now, what we have now. So this antagonism as a vasana, it is there with me. I created it. Whenever I created it. Now I can undo it. You can undo it. How to undo? You have to address yourself. You have to lecture yourself. You see, people, they are prone to lecture others. They want to give a lecture to other people. That they do. Even in Satsanga also, they come together as a group Satsanga, and there also they give lecture to the other people. They use that opportunity to lecture others because that vasana is there, lecturing others, which is okay in a given context, nothing wrong in it. For example, that is what I am doing now. Nothing wrong in it. But you have to lecture yourself also. With that specific example of antagonism, with reference to that example, I would tell you one thing. Lord Rama did not have any antagonism towards Ravana. He did not have any antagonism. Though Ravana has wronged Rama very badly, still he doesn't have any antagonism. Just that you keep as a great example, as a model. Bhagavan Buddha said, Nahi vairena vairani shamyanti. In a text called Dhammapadam, Buddha said, Nahi vairena vairani shamyanti. By holding on to antagonism, you cannot solve the problem of antagonism. So you tell that to yourself. So, do I want to keep this antagonism, or do I want to become free from that antagonism? You have to ask that question to yourself. So, Buddha is saying, as long as you hold on to the antagonism, you will not be able to get rid of it. It sounds very simplistic. Or rather, let us say it sounds simple, which it is. It is not simplistic, but it is simple. It sounds simple. A message or an instruction from a great jnani, Bhagavan Buddha, very simple it is. He is not instructing something very complex. Very simple. He is saying, do you want freedom from this vasana called antagonism? Yes. Then by holding on to it, you won't get it. You won't get that freedom. Yeah, true. You tell that to yourself and see what happens to the antagonism. It will melt away. Like the snow melts in the sun. It will melt away. It cannot stand. This is how you have to address the vasana of antagonism. You have to undo it. You created it, now you have to undo it. Suppose you have the vasana of jealousy. Let us take another example, jealousy. So there is a jealousy in you. So this vasana is there. Now you want to get rid of, you want to rise above that. Yeah, so you can. You can rise above the vasana of jealousy. How? You understand there is jealousy only when you compare yourself with others. That is how it works. Only when you compare. Suppose you say to yourself, so here I am comparing myself with others. This has become a habit from childhood. In the childhood, parents tell, look at him, he got better marks than you. That is what parents told. And they asked you always the rank. What is the rank? Rank is meaningful only when you compare with others. Even the class, first class, second class, third class, I passed in second class, I passed in first class. That is also in a way comparison, in a general way comparison. When you say rank, the comparison is more focused. And when you say, look at him, he's got more marks than you, now the comparison is fixed with reference to a given person. This is how we were habituated to compare with others. You understand all this and look at yourself and ask a question to yourself. Why should I compare with others? Why should I? I am what I am. So I will try not to compare with others. In fact, this comparing with others, is there any sense in it? Why should I compare with others? You investigate, you inquire, and you do it a few times, and then you will find, now you stop comparing with others, and then suddenly you find that there is no jealousy in you anymore. So you have created the vasana and you have to undo it. That is the answer. Then another question. This is also an important question. Understanding any subject takes time. It doesn't happen in an instant. Practice makes perfect. Then why is antahkarana shuddhi not a process? I can see a lot more maturity in myself since I started this study years ago. Does not it take time to clear the muck of samskaras? That is the question. Now the question, it betrays, if you please don't mind, it betrays an ignorance, and also it betrays a kind of tenacity to hold on to the untruth. That is how the question sounds to me. You see, when you have to take up a process and complete it, like cooking. Cooking is a process and it takes time. Because it's a process, it is in time, it is time bound and it will take certain time. Like rice you want to cook, so there is a process. You put the rice in the water and close the cooker, lid you close it and put it on fire, and put the fire and a proper amount of heat is given to the cooker and allow 15 minutes time and then it is cooked. So like that it's a process. And because it's a process, it happens in time. Any process called karma is connected to time. They go together. That is understood. It is very well understood. But learning, you come to the point learning. Let us say learning. Don't say knowledge. Knowledge accumulation takes time. Like let us examine take the example of Vyakaranam, Sanskrit Grammar. So I used to teach it to students. And so I used to teach 45 minutes to 1 hour, not more than that. You teach from 5-6 sutras of Panini and leave them alone and give them some time. After 24 hours, they will come back and again teach another 3, 4, 5 sutras. Like that, gradually you move one step after the other. First, they have to understand Saujña, and then Paribhasha, then Sandhi, then Shabda, then Dhatu. Like that it goes. And it gradually accumulates. And it takes time. For example, it can take 1 year time to study. If the student is hardworking and he has certain intelligent quotient, so he knows well, and he is not dull and hardworking, he will take 1 year time. That is the accumulation of knowledge. It takes time. But so you cannot take these two, a karma and a knowledge accumulation, the way they operate, the same way learning also happens. If you argue like that, you are holding on to a falsehood, and thereby you are depriving yourself of a chance to learn. Learning or understanding, it is not a process. You do not understand by units. You do not collect understanding by piece. That is not how you collect understanding. You do not accumulate understanding. You do not get understanding one piece, another piece, another piece. Like that, you don't get it. Like that, you don't, that is not how you get the understanding. The understanding is instant. The learning is instant. You don't gather it, you don't gather understanding. You understand at once. You may remain without understanding for the entire life, or even a few births. You may be ignorant for 20 years, but suddenly or in a moment you know it. So that understanding, that learning, you do not collect it. Like that. You get it at once, because learning is timeless. You see, it is like rubarukamiva bandhanat. Like the fruit falls from the tree. It takes long time to become mature. I am not denying that. But it doesn't take time to fall. Fall is timeless. In a moment it falls. It becomes separated from the tree momentarily. But to reach that point, it takes maturity takes a long time. You should not confuse between the two. So, therefore, what happens is, as long as you put this learning, this understanding into the flow of time, into the basket of time, so long you will remain away from it. You will never reach there. It is like to know that you are not really attached to anything. Say, take one example. You think you are attached to wealth. But to know that you are not really attached to wealth, it happens piece by piece, one piece after another. That is how it happens. No. It doesn't happen like that. Maybe I am able to explain more than this. So, because it is something related to learning, something related to understanding, which is very intrinsic, therefore only this much can be explained in words. So the understanding, the learning, it doesn't happen by gathering. Like suppose you want to know, you rush, you have a flight, you rush to the gate running, and you want to learn whether the flight is still open to go in or it has left. Now, how do you learn that? You learn it over a period, in a process you learn it. No, you ask, what happened to that flight? It is open, come. Then you go and enter inside. You learn it instantly, right? Or it's a process. You ask the question, then the lady answers, and then you gather the answer, and it takes a few minutes. Is that how it happens? No, it is instant. You see, this problem has come because people are accustomed to karma, and it is determined by the flow of time. They are accustomed to it. And then they are accustomed to accumulation of knowledge. That is what we have done in the university, college and university, accumulation of knowledge. First in mathematics, calculus, first you do limits. It takes 2 weeks, and then you do differentiation. It takes 1 semester. That is, the first semester is over. Then you do integration. Second semester, third semester, then the integration is over. Like that you accumulate. You are accustomed to accumulation of knowledge, which is semester-wise, means time-bound it is. It is in the flow of knowledge. People only know this much. Then they come to Vedanta. With the same samskara they come. And there they apply that samskara to Vedanta. And now the Vedanta is how many semesters I take to get self-knowledge. Like that it becomes. And so now you put it into 10 plus 2 plus 3 scheme. And in doing so, you will not know the truth of yourself. You will not. You will remain in that accumulating mode for the life. We see it all the time. It works for Vedanta Institute. It works for a professional Vedanta teacher. It works for a professional Vedanta student also. And you are satisfied with it. Now, after 10 years, you now know you have been associated with Vedanta for 10 years. You have studied 4 Upanishads. You have already finished 7 chapters of Gita. So, but you don't know how to remain, how to have a peaceful life. That problem remains the same. Therefore, you have to be dislodged from that accumulating mode. And the questioner has given a lot of logic, reasoning to put learning into the mode of time. Sir, you are wrong. Learning is instant. Understanding, learning is instant. Accumulation of knowledge takes time. Now, where is your question? Is it about learning and understanding? Or is it about accumulation? If it is accumulation, yes, it takes time. I give it to you. But Atma-jnanam has nothing to do with accumulation. Atma-jnanam is you have to know yourself. And that is instantaneous. I have explained enough. Please think about it. Then an interesting question, how best to study Advaita Makaranda if we are studying from a book? We'll listen to the lectures on the side. Now, if I answer, you should not misunderstand me. Assuming that you don't misunderstand me, I suggest get hold of my book and study from it. That is my answer. Then next question, Yuktaha and Muktaha. Do they mean the same? Can they be used interchangeably? Sir, when it comes to the words, first you have to look at the words and get their meaning. That too, particularly in Sanskrit, every word, it comes from a verbal root, a verb root. Not verbal means not oral, verb root. And then a suffix, pratyaya. Or sometimes it could be a prefix also. Sometimes both. That is how the words are created. Therefore, the words will have exact meaning. The meaning of 2 words could be interrelated, but not interchangeable. The difference between the two you should understand. So, the words have meanings which are interrelated. That is fine, but the meanings are different. They are interrelated, all right, but different. Whereas interchangeable is entirely different, in which the meanings are same. So the word yuktaha, muktaha, dhatu is yuj, ta is the suffix, much, ta is the suffix. The 2 different dhatus with different meanings, and their suffix may be same, but the meanings of the dhatu, the root, the verb, from which the words are derived, the meanings are different, and therefore they have 2 different meanings, and they are not interchangeable. They may be interrelated. Okay? So, this confusion I see. They take the words as interchangeable. They are not. Okay? It is like Vedanti, Jijnasu. Are they interchangeable? Not. Jijnasu, Mumukshu. Are they one and the same? Not. So, then one more thing. Ananta, Ananda. I have come across that. Are they one and the same? Not. They are all interrelated, but not one and the same. Each word has its own different meaning. So I gave you a background. Now I am answering the specific question. Yuktaha means one who is integrated, one who is steadfast, a striver, a seeker, a student. That is the yuktaha. Muktaha, one who is liberated, one who is free. That is muktaha. Two different words with different meanings, but they are interrelated. Only the yuktaha becomes the muktaha. Therefore, why do you say they are interchangeable? They are not. Okay? You asked me with reference to two words, but I have covered a general ground about such words. Then, Krishnarpanam, after any action, will it take away the doership? No. It doesn't take away the doership like that. You performed an action and you are sure that you have performed it, and then you say Krishnarpanam, will it take away the doership? It will not take away the doership. In fact, every time you do with the sense of doership and cap it with Krishnarpanam, the sense of doership becomes stronger. It will not take away. Why are you saying Krishnarpanam? Because you have heard others saying it, and it is in tradition to say Krishnarpanam, and therefore you are saying it. So that doesn't take away the sense of doership. You have to conduct a careful self-inquiry and understand the distinction between the body-mind vis-a-vis the inner awareful being. You have to create a space between the two. Here is the body-mind. Here I am, the awareful being. You have to create this space. Let us try to create this space. So this again a meditation. So we sit upright. And as we sit upright, we become alert. So I'm alert. And here is the body. I'm aware of this body. I can see it. Seeing means not with the eyes, but it is an object in my awareness. So here is the body, ever changeful, of course. And then the mind, which is a flow of thoughts. That is where things are happening. So I'm repeating the meditation in a way. So here is the body and mind. They are together. You cannot separate the two really. Therefore, let us call it the body-mind. So here is the body-mind in which things are happening all the time. And here I am, who is aware of the body-mind, and also many things happening in the body-mind. But in myself, the awareful being, pure awareness, nothing ever happens. Therefore, I have to stop identifying with the body-mind and all that happens in the body-mind. Let it happen, it happens. You need not stop it. Let it happen. You allow it to happen. The natural thing happens naturally. But I am aware. Awareness, I am. Chinmayoham. I am Chinmaya. I am the awareness. I am the awareness in which nothing ever happens. I am timelessly the awareful being who now slowly open the eyes. This is how you realize that you are not the doer. There is doing all right, but you are not the doer. So you examine it, you investigate, you inquire, self-inquiry, and you find in you the dimension which is timeless. The time-bound dimension, the body-mind is ever known to you. It is always there. You need not struggle to find it. It is always there with you. You have to look within to find that awareful being in which nothing ever happens. That's why which is timeless. There is no time in it. You have to abide in it. I am the awareness. You do it 5 minutes. Make it a point to do it 5 minutes. Chinmayoham. You remind yourself again and again. Chinmayoham. The awareful being I am. Then eventually you will realize that things happen. You do not do them. They happen in your presence. You are the presence. Things happen. Like I am sitting here, the fan is rotating. Things happen. So this kind of self-inquiry will help you overcome the sense of doership. Not a Krishnarpanam. A wise man who knows that he is not a doer, he must have said Krishnarpanam and others are imitating him. So just by imitating, nothing happens, Therefore, Krishnarpanam is a good statement, is a beautiful statement, but it doesn't take away the sense of doership. You tell me, you must have said it a few times. Did it take away the sense of doership from you? So please think about it. It is not about saying something. You see, our life has become all about doing something, saying something, and accumulate a few ideas in the brain cells. That is not enough. You have to learn a few things. After all this is over, what is all over? Have done a lot of things, worldly actions as well as rituals and all that, a lot of them you have done, God bless. Then you have said a number of things. In the worldly context you are saying, under recitations, chants, mantras, so many things you have said as much as you can, that also you have done. You have accumulated a lot of things in your brain cells in the name of knowledge of Vedanta, you have accumulated. All that is wonderful. Did you learn anything? You ask this question to yourself. And you work in that line, you will learn or understand that you do not do anything. Things happen. You do not do anything. Things happen. I ask you, do you eat? Yes, I eat. Do you digest? Do you digest? Do you breathe? Do you pump the heart? Do you circulate the blood? So you have no answer there. For one thing you say, yes, I do. So you have to examine the whole issue of this doing. And not chanting a few things here and there. Then you will know that you are not the doer. Here is a question, are science and spirituality dipoles? I suggest the expression dipoles doesn't apply to the science and spirituality pair. Dipole means a magnet, North Pole, South Pole. They must be opposites, connected to the same basic thing. Basic thing is magnetism, magnetic field, that field. And to the magnetic field are connected two poles, and they are opposite. Then we call it dipole. Similarly, a plus minus, it's a dipole. An atom is a dipole because in an atom, the nucleus is plus and the electrons around are minus. Therefore, it's a dipole. So that is how the word dipole has to be used. Science and spirituality are not dipoles. They are complementary. Science is the study of names and forms. Science is the study of the phenomenal universe. Whereas spirituality is the study of the noumenon, the changeless, that reality in which nothing ever happens. That is what we are discussing in the entire session. That is the noumenon. That is the Kutastha Chaitanya. That is where nothing ever happens. Under the study of that Kutastha Chaitanya, the changeless reality, which is the Atma, that is called spirituality. Therefore, they are complementary. They are not dipoles. I would not like to call them dipoles. I would call them complementary. And when you study science, in addition to acquiring a lot of information, the accumulation, that is also part of the study of science. In addition to that, you get the spirit of it. There is always a thing called the spirit of it. Like a surgeon is there. He knows all the anatomy, he knows all the instruments to be used, all that he knows. But over and above that, he gets the spirit of what he is doing. And he allows a certain intelligence to operate in addition to all this accumulated knowledge. That is how he becomes a good surgeon. That creative thinking, originality must be there. Then only he becomes a good surgeon, not by just accumulating all the data of anatomy and all the instruments and knowledge. That is not enough. Like even a motorcycle mechanic, he knows every piece of the instrument and also he has all the tools. And over and above that, he has a very creative intelligence. He gives a kick to the motorcycle. He understands where it is going wrong. He gets it, that intelligence. Therefore, you study the science, get that scientific spirit, in addition to accumulating the knowledge of science, get that scientific spirit, and that will be helpful to you in the pursuit of spirituality. It will help. Therefore, I put them like that. I do not want to call them a dipole. Dipole is one. Dipoles nahi. Dipole. Two opposite poles together constitute one dipole. I don't want to put science and spirituality into that structure. What is a true pilgrimage? See, this is the last question. We have some pilgrimage in our life, in our culture it is there. Probably in every culture it is there. Suppose in Christianity also it could be there. But I don't see so much of it as we find it in Hindu culture or Hindu religion. In India, at one time, this pilgrimage to Jerusalem, etc. was not there among Christians. In India, there are many Christians. But the pilgrimage to Jerusalem was not there. But recently it caught up because these travel agents and travel companies, they promote it and therefore they are all going to Jerusalem. In fact, they copy the Hindus. The Hindus, Muslims have pilgrimage. They have to go to Makkah once in a lifetime, like that they have it. Of course, Hindus have it too. Christians are learning from Hindus nowadays. And Hindus, they have to go to Kashi, they have to go to Rameshwaram and other places. It is there. That is one stage in life. That is the stage of religion. That is part and parcel of religion. That is not spirituality. Going to Kashi, to Hrishikesh, Uttarakanshi, Gangotri, and going to the temples, visiting the temples, taking sacred bath, all of that is religion. It is not spirituality. In Vedanta, there is no outgoing pilgrimage. There is no such outward pilgrimage. There is the inward pilgrimage only. In fact, today meditation, in the first class, I was describing the inner pilgrimage. So in this inner pilgrimage, you are aware of the body-mind, and so much is happening in that body-mind, all that you are aware. But now you have to find that inner being. All this is becoming. The body-mind is all becoming. The family is also becoming. In the inner, there is that being in which there is no movement. Nothing ever happens there, none happening. In the being, none happens. That is what it is. And that is the Kashi. Awareness means Kashi. And you have to take that pilgrimage. And I asked you in that meditation, where are you located? In the happening, in all that is happening, you are located in that? Or you are located, or you are abiding in that pure being in which nothing is ever happening, nothing ever happens? Are you located in there? Or do you abide there? Or you are somewhere in between, the bridge? I ask you, you have to find out. And if you are located in that happening only, then you need a pilgrimage to that inner Kashi. And you are sometimes there, sometimes here. Good, the pilgrimage is going well in your life. Suppose you are on the bridge, then you leave the bridge and abide in that pure inner awareness, be that awareful being. That is the real pilgrimage. The text Kashi Panchakam explains the pilgrimage in detail. So you have to undertake that pilgrimage. And the Vedanta texts glorify that inner pilgrimage. In fact, in doing so, they try to dismiss outer pilgrimage also. They say that it is all very negative. Unless you dismiss the outgoing attitude, you cannot acquire that inward attitude. Therefore, the texts, they do not hesitate in dismissing the outgoing attitude. In fact, I used to say, and I don't hesitate to say one more time, as long as the idea of pilgrimage, outgoing pilgrimage to this place, that place, etc., that samskara, that attitude has a hold upon you, you will not be able to make that inner pilgrimage. You will not be. That becomes an obstacle. Because your attitude is, God is somewhere there. And you have to travel and go there. And as long as you entertain, you hold that attitude, you will not be able to make the inner pilgrimage. You have to remember Shri Krishna's words, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hrideshayarjuna Tishtati. You have to tell yourself any number of times. You may still go to Kashi or Rameshwaram if it is, the context is such that you may have to go there, you go there. I'm not saying that. But you have to tell yourself about that inner pilgrimage. Ishvara is not out there. That is Dvaita. Ishvara is out there, is Dvaita. Ishvara is in my heart is the first step in Atma Vidya, Atma Jnana. The first step, not the last step. Last step is Tattvamasi. Therefore, you take the first step. Take that inner pilgrimage, first step in that inner pilgrimage. Put an end to this outer pilgrimage, you don't need it. You just don't need it. But people are very clever. You know what is the cleverness? They are not sure of this inner pilgrimage. and they don't have that love and enthusiasm. They don't have it. Therefore, they hold on to the outer pilgrimage and try to get hold of the inner pilgrimage also. They will be hovering between the two. That doesn't work. First, have that love and shraddha. Put an end to this outer pilgrimage. Say goodbye to that. And collect all that energy. You need energy, not physical energy I am talking about. That spiritual energy you need, you collect it, all of it, and undertake that inner pilgrimage, which is nididhyasana, the meditation. Om Purnamada Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.